Hi you guys, welcome back. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and in this video, I'm going to tell you guys a little ghost story about Lady Beresford and Lord Tyrone, who visited her as a ghost in her dreams. So stay tuned. I have always been a believer that the spirit of loved ones who have passed can actually come and visit us in our dream time. In fact, I've had my own visitation dream experience, which I shared with you guys in a video all about visitation dreams. And so I'll be sure to put a link to that video here for you guys as well, in case you haven't seen that one yet. But the reason I was attracted to today's spooky story is due to that aspect of spirit visiting the living during dream time. John Lipower grew up in Ireland with a fellow orphan under the guardianship of a deist. And in case you are wondering, the definition of deism is a belief in the existence of a supreme being, specifically of a creator who does not intervene in the universe. The term is used chiefly of an intellectual movement of the 17th and 18th centuries that accepted the existence of a creator on the basis of reason, but rejected belief in a supernatural deity who interacts with humankind. One day, the two orphans were actually discussing the differences between deism and Christianity, and during their little debate, they were kind of leaning towards Christianity being the one true religion. So at that time, they decided to make a pact with each other that whoever of the two were the first to die, that they would come back to let the other know which is the true religion. So when the two orphans grew up, they both just went their separate ways, with John becoming the Earl of Tyrone, and with Nicola Sophia Hamilton marrying Tristram Beresford, and therefore becoming Lady Beresford. Now, one morning, Lady Beresford came down for breakfast, and when she sat down with her husband, he noticed that she was wearing a black ribbon around her wrist. And she was kind of acting strangely as well, and so he finally just decided to ask what was up with that black ribbon that was tied around her wrist that morning. And she right away got very defensive and asked him never to speak of the ribbon again, and she also proclaimed that she would be wearing that ribbon every day for the rest of her life. No questions asked. Lady Beresford's behavior was just so strange that morning. After breakfast, she continually asked the servant of the house, "Has the mail arrived?" And finally, she was asked, "Well, what are you waiting for in the mail?" And Lady Beresford stated that she was waiting to hear announcement that an old friend of hers had died Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And just then, the mail arrived with an envelope sealed with black wax, stating just that the Earl of Tyrone, her dear friend, the orphan John, had died. But while Lady Beresford was rather sad to hear the news, she was also happy at the same time and proclaimed that suddenly she knew she will have a baby, and that baby will be a boy. Soon after that, they did find out that Lady Beresford was going to be expecting a baby, and it turned out she gave birth to her son, Marcus. And then they had a very happy life, but Lady Beresford's husband ended up passing away 7 years after their son was born. She vowed at the time that she would never remarry. She did, however, end up finding a man, and she did end up marrying him and giving birth to many children with him. But the thing was is that her husband didn't bring her very much happiness. This second husband of hers was very mean to her, and he wasn't a good father or husband. He was actually making her rather miserable most of the time. Happiness in her new life was very few and far between. Lady Beresford finally reached her 48th birthday, and she found that cause for great celebration. So she decided to invite all of her friends and people in the town over to have a celebration to honor the fact that she is now 48 years old. So during this party, a clergyman actually came up to her and said very cheerfully that he believes, after going through the records at the church, that she is actually only 47 years old, and therefore a whole year younger than she believed that she was. Now, right away, Lady Beresford shut down the party. She was like, okay, you guys, everybody needs to get out of here. Now, she called her older married daughter, Lady Riverton, as well as her son Marcus, to, meet her in her chambers at once. When Lady Beresford and her children were alone, she began to tell the story of the pact that she had made with Lord Tyrone when she was only a child. And she told them that Lord Tyrone actually kept up his end of the bargain. So one night, when her husband, Lord Beresford, was still alive, Lord Tyrone appeared at the end of their bed. She was very startled at the time and asked him what it was he was doing there with her husband sleeping right next to them. Lord Tyrone then told Lady Beresford that he had died. She told him that he died Tuesday at 4 o'clock. She also was told that she would be having a baby boy and that her husband would live for 7 years before dying. Lady Beresford was also told that she would be married again and have many children and have a very unhappy marriage with her second husband. And she was told that she would die at the age of 47. Lady Beresford also stated that Lord Tyrone told her that her son Marcus would marry the heir to his fortune, but at the time of his death, Lord Tyrone had no children. So Lady Beresford was very much curious about what she had just heard from this apparition of Lord Tyrone, so she wanted proof so that she could see in the morning that everything she had heard from him was absolute truth. So Lord Tyrone twisted the canopy around in an iron circle on the bed canopy, and he said, "There, a mortal hand certainly could not have done that." And so Lady Beresford was just like, well, I don't know. When I'm asleep, maybe I have strength that I don't know I have. And so when I wake up and see this, I might think that I've done it in my sleep. And so Lord Tyrone said, fine. And he agreed that instead, he would write a note to Lady Beresford, and surely his handwriting would be proof enough that he had visited her that night. But Lady Beresford again disagreed. She stated once again that while in her waking life, she would never be able to duplicate Lord Tyrone's handwriting. But in her sleep, it is possible that she could, duplicate his handwriting. Again, Lord Tyrone said, fine, give me your arm. And he grabbed her by the wrist And when he did, with his cold grasp, the sinews in her wrist began to shrivel and shrink, leaving her wrist all wrinkly and aged. And that is why Lady Beresford, the next morning, when she saw that her wrist had been shriveled up, she placed the black ribbon around her wrist, remembering a threat that she heard from Lord Tyrone the night before, stating that mortal eyes shall never be laid upon that wrist. Now, 1 hour after telling her children this entire story, Lady Beresford had died in her bed. And this left her children not only saddened by the loss of their mother, but they were also very curious about what they were told right before her death. After she passed away, her children removed the familiar black ribbon that their mother always wore around her wrist, and that is when they saw her wrist was all shrunken and shriveled up, just like their mother had said. Years later, Marcus ended up marrying Lady Catherine, who happened to be Lord Tyrone's niece, and Lady Catherine also inherited his entire fortune, just like the ghost predicted. I really want to know what you guys think about this. Do you believe this story that has been passed down not only throughout the Beresford family, but it was also passed down through newspapers as well as books and other publications? Again, with some of the little details shifting slightly like things do over time, but generally the message always remains the same in this one. So let me know your thoughts down below. But my thoughts on this one, like I said before, I'm already a believer that spirit can visit us in our dream state. So I have an entire playlist of dream videos. So if you are interested in dreams and dream interpretation and learning all about symbology, be sure to check out that playlist that's on my channel. But my thoughts on this are that it is a possibility that Lady Beresford actually got predictions from the spirit of Lord Tyrone. This sounds a little far-fetched to some people, but it definitely does not sound far-fetched to me, based on my own personal experience. As I stated, I've actually had my own deceased grandmother visit me in my dream time, and it was as real as any other communication that I've had with her before. So it all really just depends on your own beliefs, obviously. But you should know by now that this is definitely something that lies within my area of belief. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and share this video with all your friends out there. And of course, if you are a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I am inviting you now to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, you can then click the notifications bell so that you can be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.